Hey gang, a few weeks ago I posted a video where I installed some brush seals on my roll-up door. Now I had gotten those seals from Memtech. The reason for that, as I stated in that video, was I'm trying to eliminate loss of airflow or loss of heat and air conditioning since I now have a mini split in my shop. So any loss of air is not a good thing. I'm very satisfied with those brush seals. They're doing a great job. But while I was looking at that setup, I also was considering what I could do with this door that's behind me. Now this is a standard entry door you would find in a house, 36 inches, and it's been on the shop since I built it in 1996. So wear and tear and time causes things to get out of shape a little bit. So I'm hoping that I can install another Memtech brush kit on that door and eliminate some loss of air. So let me show you part of the problem. See the sunlight coming through that door gap? It's only doing it at the bottom at this point, but now that I have heat and air in the garage, I can't afford to be having either escape. So I'm hoping that this brush kit will help address that. There's the kit number, and it is for a standard 3-foot by 7-foot door. So let's see what's in the box. I will say they packaged this stuff very nice. They put in these rigid angle pieces to help support the box, and those are incredibly strong. As you can see, there are 4 pieces in the box. 3 of them are still on the floor, but here is one of the pieces. And this has an angle to it, about 45 degrees. And you also notice that it comes pre-drilled. On the other kit that I installed, it required me to drill holes, but this kit is ready to go. Now, of course, I will have to measure this piece. This will be the upper for the door seal on the outside. So I will have to measure this and get the correct length and trim it, and also trim the brush so that it is also the right length. So to start the installation process, I need to have some measurements. So I'm going to measure inside to inside of the wood that is immediately in front of the door. So in my case, it is approximately 35 1/8 inches. Your results may vary. So the first thing I want to do is remove the brush, set it out of the way, and measure off my 35 1/8 inch. Now to cut this, you could use a few different things. I have some cutoff wheels in power tools that I like to use. You could use a hacksaw, that would work as well. But I'm going to use this cutoff disc on my grinder. And of course, anytime you're installing something like this, make sure this fits the door before you do anything else, because you may need to trim it just a little bit. So now what I want to do is install the brush into the track. And I want to do that because I already have a confirmed length. So I'm going to make the end even on the one side, and then I will mark the other side so I know where to cut. Slide that back out, and I could slide it out all the way or to leave it part way in. And mark that all the way across. And in the last installation video, I used bolt cutters to cut this the brush. It was a heavier track. This one appears to be a bit lighter, so I'm going to try some wire cutters or side cutters. That worked. And now I have the top piece finished and ready to install. I want to point out that in the last video I used these screws for the larger seals that I installed on the roll-up door. But the problem with that on this configuration is the screw heads, you can see they're a bit wide. They're too wide for this purpose. They'll actually not fit. It'll interfere with the track, so I can't use those. What I plan to use is these number 6 sheet metal screws. Now I know I'm screwing into wood, but the problem with that is it's very hard to find wood screws with what I call a button head. You can find them countersunk all day long, but with a nice rounded head, it's hard to find. So that's why I'm going to use sheet metal screws. The one thing I also noticed was the holes that are pre-drilled, they're a little bit under 1/8 of an inch, or maybe right at 1/8 of an inch. And so the screws that I plan to use aren't going to go through very easily. I could force them through, but I don't want to do that. So the plan is I'm going to take an 1/8 inch drill bit and expand these holes just a little bit, just to give a little bit of clearance for that screw to go through easily. I also want to point out that the holes that are here are actually slotted a little bit. And that's just in case you wanted to be able to adjust up and down a little bit with that track. So now I'm ready to install the first piece, the upper piece. Now I do have an existing rubber seal on this door, so I'm going to use that as a guide. When I put the piece up against, I want this back edge to just touch that seal. Now the next step is I want to get a measurement from the bottom all the way to the top of the door opening. Before I measure, I want to show you something else. I had replaced the threshold for this door. It was in bad shape, so I had replaced it with a new piece. And the old threshold came all the way out here, and it left a bit of a gap when I removed it. I didn't want to replace the whole jamb. Now when I put this new seal in, I'm going to try to bring it all the way down as far as I can to meet this threshold. Now in my case, the measurement on the right side was 79.5. And again, yours will vary. So I will repeat the cutting process and also repeat the cutting process for the brush. I do want to point out that in doing so, when I cut this off, I will be eliminating this hole. So I'll need to drill another hole back here. Now I also want to point out, when you're installing this, you're not going to go up against the wood trim. It's going to go against the new piece or the first piece that you installed. And I'll show you a picture of that after I do the installation. But I'm also going to make sure, again, that I'm just touching this existing seal with that corner of the new brush piece. Now the last piece is designed to go on the inside of the door. I do have an existing seal down here, so it may not be necessary, but it comes with the kit, and you may not have the seal like I do, and you will need to install this. So I'm going to install this anyway, just to finish the job. It's basically the same procedures. I'm going to get a measurement, but this time I'm just going to measure the door itself. In this case, my door is 35.5 inches. So again, I'll transfer those measurements to the brush seal, cut as necessary, and then install. One other thing I'm going to do, since I don't want this brush sliding around, is I'm going to crimp the end. And I'm just going to take a pair of vice grips, grab that end of that track, and just squeeze it together a little bit. And that'll hang on to that and won't let it slide out. I've already done the other end. So now my plan is, I want to get this in place and get it as low as I can on the door, and then I will take a Sharpie, mark my holes, and then I will drill, in this case, a 3/32 hole in the door because it is a steel door. So once I do that, then I can run the screws in. Well, now with everything in place, no more daylight. That's a good thing. It may not have been much, but every little bit counts. So that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful, at least informative. I know that there's a variety of things that can cause air loss within a garage or a home even, and with these brush seals, I know it's going to help me out. So I'll post a link to the company in the description. Give them a look. Maybe there's something that you could use from them. They have a variety of products, and that's going to be it. So thanks for watching, and if you would, throw a thumbs up on there, like, subscribe, share, all those cool things. And until next time, take care of yourselves.